21 black celebrities who had strange jobs before they were famous. Before the fame, fortune, Oscars, Grammys, and sold-out arenas, some of these black legends were doing jobs you would never expect. One prepared the dead for funerals, another worked inside the NSA, one cleaned houses, while another swept hair from a salon floor before becoming one of the biggest superstars on earth. These aren't Hollywood fairy tales, they're the surprising beginnings behind some truly extraordinary careers. So how did ordinary workers become household names worth millions and admired around the world? Welcome to Golden Black Legends, where today we uncover 21 incredible before they were famous stories. Subscribe now, stay until the end, and tell us in the comments which celebrity's former job shocks you the most. Whoopi Goldberg. Long before Whoopi, Goldberg became an Oscar-winning actress and one of America's most recognizable entertainers. She held a job almost impossible to imagine beside Hollywood glamour. Goldberg worked as a mortuary cosmetologist, using her beautician training to apply makeup to deceased people so families could see their loved ones presented with dignity before burial. It was unusual work, but before fame, earning a living mattered more than chasing appearances. Goldberg later shared an unforgettable story from that period. Her employer reportedly climbed into a mortuary drawer and pretended to be dead before suddenly sitting up, frightening the young Goldberg. Over time, versions of this story have sometimes been exaggerated into claims about a corpse unexpectedly moving. The important distinction is that Goldberg described it as a prank by her boss. She also worked other jobs during her early years, including as a bricklayer, while continuing to pursue performance. Her life changed dramatically after she developed her one-woman theatrical work. Director Mike Nichols helped bring Whoopi Goldberg to Broadway in 1984. And Hollywood quickly noticed her extraordinary ability to move between humor and heartbreaking drama. Steven Spielberg cast her as Celie in The Color Purple in 1985, earning Goldberg an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. 5 years later, she delivered one of her most beloved performances as Oda Mae Brown in Ghost. The role earned Goldberg the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Success continued through Sister Act 2, The Lion King, and eventually her long-running television presence on The View. The contrast is remarkable. Before red carpets, awards, and worldwide recognition, Whoopi Goldberg was quietly preparing people for their final goodbyes. Her journey proves that sometimes the road to extraordinary success begins in a place nobody would ever expect. Taraji P. Henson. Before Taraji P. Henson became an Oscar-nominated actress and one of television's most commanding personalities, her daily life looked nothing like Hollywood. While studying theater at Howard University, Henson balanced classes, motherhood, and multiple jobs simply to keep moving forward. One of those jobs was especially surprising. She worked as a singing and dancing waitress aboard the Spirit of Washington, entertaining passengers while serving tables. During the day, Henson also worked as a secretary at the Pentagon. The contrast is striking. One shift demanded office professionalism inside one of America's most famous government buildings. Another required personality, performance, and stamina aboard a dinner cruise. Neither guaranteed that Hollywood would ever learn her name, but together they helped support the dream she refused to abandon. After graduating from Howard in 1995, Henson moved to Los Angeles with her young son and limited financial resources. Small television appearances gradually followed before Baby Boy in 2001 gave audiences a stronger glimpse of her dramatic ability. Roles in Hustle and Flow and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button pushed her further, with the latter earning her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Then came Cookie Lyon. When Empire premiered in 2015, Henson transformed the outspoken, stylish family matriarch into a television phenomenon. Her performance earned her a Golden Globe and multiple Emmy nominations. Films including Hidden Figures further demonstrated her dramatic range. That makes Henson's pre-fame years more than a piece of celebrity trivia. Before commanding television screens and walking red carpets, she was answering phones, serving guests, raising a child, studying her craft, and performing wherever she could. Taraji P. Henson did not begin with Hollywood privilege. She built her way toward Hollywood one exhausting shift at a time. Morgan Freeman. Long before audiences recognized Morgan Freeman's unmistakable voice, he spent years searching for the opportunity that would finally allow him to become an actor. His path was neither quick nor glamorous. After graduating from high school in Mississippi in 1955, Freeman joined the United States Air Force, serving from 1955 to 1959 and eventually reaching the rank of Airman First Class. Freeman had been fascinated by flying and initially imagined the military might lead him toward becoming a fighter pilot. Instead, he worked as an automatic tracking radar repairman. The experience eventually clarified something important. The romantic image he had associated with military aviation was not the life he truly wanted. Acting remained the deeper ambition. After leaving the Air Force, Freeman moved west and studied acting in Los Angeles. Success did not arrive immediately. He worked ordinary jobs while pursuing performance, including clerical work, and spent years appearing in stage productions before gaining wider recognition. His early professional journey is important because it corrects the dramatic but poorly supported stories sometimes circulated about him working for tiny wages in a hostile woodshop. Television audiences eventually came to know Freeman through the children's program The Electric Company during the 1970s. Yet even that did not instantly make him a movie star. His major cinematic breakthrough came remarkably late. Freeman was already in his 50s when performances in movies such as Street Smart, Driving, Miss Daisy and Glory established him as a major screen actor. Later came The Shawshank Redemption, CC7N Million Dollar Baby, which earned him an Academy Award and countless memorable narration roles. His story carries a powerful lesson. Morgan Freeman's career was not an overnight miracle. Before that legendary voice became known worldwide, there were military uniforms, ordinary employment, theater stages, and decades of persistence. Sometimes Hollywood success does not arrive early. Sometimes it arrives because someone simply refuses to leave. Nicki Minaj. Before Nicki Minaj became one of the most commercially successful female rappers of her generation, she experienced a very different side of New York employment. The future superstar worked a series of ordinary jobs while trying to build a life and pursue entertainment. The best known was waiting tables at Red Lobster in the Bronx, not driving a garbage truck, as some unreliable celebrity stories have claimed. Born Onika Tanya Maraj in Trinidad and Tobago, in 1982, Minaj moved to Queens, New York as a child. She later attended Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School, where she studied drama. Acting was initially a serious ambition, but establishing a creative career proved difficult. Like many aspiring performers, she needed regular employment while waiting for opportunities. Minaj has openly discussed her Red Lobster period, including being fired after confronting customers who had taken her pen. She has said she was fired from numerous jobs because of her attitude toward customers. Those experiences reveal a young woman whose forceful personality existed long before fame rewarded it. Music eventually provided the breakthrough. After releasing mixtapes including Playtime Is Over, Sucker Free, and Beam Me Up, Scotty Minaj attracted Lil Wayne's attention and joined Young Money Entertainment. Her 2010 debut album, Pink Friday, turned years of underground momentum into mainstream stardom. Super Bass became a massive crossover hit, while subsequent records established her as a dominant figure in hip-hop. The transformation was extraordinary, from carrying restaurant orders to performing before arenas filled with fans. But the Red Lobster chapter matters because it strips away the illusion that celebrity was inevitable. Nicki Minaj experienced rejection firings and frustrating shifts before anyone knew her name, years before the elaborate costumes, chart, records, and global fame. She was another aspiring New York performer trying to survive and refusing to accept that waiting tables would be the final destination. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey's first experiences with work were far removed from the television empire that would eventually make her one of the world's most influential media figures. Contrary to some sensational online stories, there is no solid evidence that young Oprah earned a living as a bubble blower at an amusement park. Her documented early employment included working at a local grocery store in Nashville near the barber shop operated by her father, Vernon Winfrey. But broadcasting quickly revealed where her future truly belonged. As a teenager, Winfrey won a speaking contest that helped her secure a scholarship to Tennessee State University. At around 17, she began working at Nashville radio station WVOL, giving her early professional experience in broadcasting. She later entered television news, becoming a young anchor at Nashville's ULAC TV before moving to Baltimore. Traditional news reporting, however, did not fully suit the emotional openness that would become her greatest strength. A turning point arrived when she moved into daytime television. In Chicago, she took over the struggling morning program AM Chicago in 1984. Ratings surged. In 1986, the program became The Oprah Winfrey Show and entered national syndication. What followed became television history. The show ran for 25 seasons, ending in 2011 after thousands of episodes. Winfrey expanded into film acting, earning an Academy Award nomination for The Color Purple, while also building Harpo Productions, launching O, the Oprah magazine, and later establishing the OWN television network. The distance between those early Nashville jobs and her eventual influence is enormous. Before billionaire status, celebrity interviews, and international recognition, Oprah was a teenager learning how to communicate with people through local media. There was no mythical amusement park encounter required to make the story inspirational. The documented truth is powerful enough. Oprah Winfrey started small, discovered the medium that suited her extraordinary ability to connect, and eventually built an empire around that gift. Terry Crews. Before Terry Crews became the muscular comedy powerhouse audiences know, from White Chicks, Everybody Hates Chris, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he survived through a combination few future Hollywood stars could claim: professional football and art. Long before television made his expressive face famous, Crews was talented enough with a pencil and brush to earn money creating artwork. Born in Flint, Michigan in 1968, Crews attended Western Michigan University and played football before being drafted by the Los Angeles Rams in 1991. His NFL journey also included time with teams such as the San Diego Chargers and Washington Redskins. But professional football was financially uncertain for many players on the margins of a roster. Crews had another skill to fall back on: drawing. He has described earning money by creating portraits of his NFL teammates. Even more unexpectedly, before his entertainment breakthrough, Crews worked as a courtroom sketch artist for a local television station in Flint. It is a remarkable contrast. The man who would eventually become famous for enormous physical presence once sat quietly observing faces and translating them onto paper. After leaving football, Crews moved toward entertainment. Commercial work and small acting opportunities gradually became substantial roles. White Chicks in 2004 turned his comedic performance and his unforgettable rendition of 1,000 Miles into a fan favorite. Everybody Hates Chris strengthened his reputation, while Terry Jeffords on Brooklyn Nine-Nine introduced him to another generation. Crews later became the host of America's Got Talent, completing an extraordinary transformation from athlete and working artist to mainstream television personality. His pre-fame story matters because football alone did not carry him into Hollywood. When one dream became uncertain, creativity helped keep him moving. Before Terry Crews made millions of viewers laugh, he was drawing other people's faces for a paycheck, never knowing that one day his own face would become instantly recognizable. Jennifer Hudson. Before Jennifer Hudson became an EGOT winner, she was singing while working at Burger King in Chicago. The future Oscar and Grammy winner had extraordinary vocal ability, but talent did not automatically provide a career. Like countless aspiring performers, Hudson worked ordinary jobs while searching for an opportunity big enough to change her life. Born in Chicago in 1981, Hudson grew up singing in church. Her voice developed through gospel traditions long before national television audiences discovered her. She worked at Burger King during her younger years and later found a more unusual performing job aboard a Disney cruise ship, appearing as one of the muses in a production of Hercules. Then came American Idol. Hudson competed during the show's third season in 2004. Surprisingly, she finished only 7th. For many contestants, elimination might have been the end of the story. For Hudson, it became the beginning. Her breakthrough arrived when she was cast as Effie White in the 2006 film adaptation of Dreamgirls. Performing "And I Am Telling You I'm Not Going," Hudson delivered the kind of performance that instantly changed how Hollywood saw her. She won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in 2007. Music success followed. Her self-titled debut album earned the Grammy for Best R&B Album. She later won a Daytime Emmy and, as a producer of the Broadway musical A Strange Loop, a Tony Award in 2022. That achievement made Hudson one of the relatively small group of entertainers to reach EGOT status. Eventually, she added daytime television host to her resume with The Jennifer Hudson Show. Think about that journey. Burger King cruise ship performances, 7th place on a reality competition, and then an Oscar, Grammys, an Emmy, and a Tony. Jennifer Hudson's beginning was ordinary. Her determination ensured the ending would be anything but. Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes may have one of the most unexpected pre-fame resumes in American comedy. Before audiences knew her for sharp observations and unmistakable delivery, she worked for the National Security Agency. Yes, the future comedian spent years inside one of the United States government's most secretive organizations. Born in Portsmouth, Virginia in 1964 and raised in Maryland, Sykes attended Hampton University, earning a degree in marketing. After college, she joined the NSA as a contracting specialist, reportedly remaining there for several years. It was stable government employment, but stability did not necessarily mean fulfillment. Comedy began changing the direction of her life. Sykes performed stand-up while still maintaining her regular career, gradually developing the distinctive voice that would eventually become her trademark. Instead of an overnight discovery, she experienced the exhausting reality of building a creative career alongside conventional employment. Her breakthrough accelerated when she became a writer for The Chris Rock Show in the late 1990s. The writing team won a Primetime Emmy in 1999. From there, Sykes expanded into acting and stand-up, appearing in Curb Your Enthusiasm, The New Adventures of Old Christine Blackish, and numerous films and television projects. Her story is far more compelling than unsupported tales claiming she spent her pre-fame years working in a laundromat. The verified reality already contains the perfect twist. One of comedy's most outspoken personalities once handled government contracts for an intelligence agency. Imagine the contrast. During the day, Sykes worked inside a structured federal environment. Outside that world, she was discovering how powerfully she could make audiences laugh. Eventually, comedy won. Before Wanda Sykes was dissecting American life on stage, she was working behind the walls of the NSA, proof that the person sitting in the next government office might secretly be preparing for an entirely different future. Mariah Carey. Before private jets, diamond-selling albums, and the annual return of All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey was a young singer in New York, struggling to turn an extraordinary voice into a career. Some sensational celebrity stories claim she once tested sirens in a factory. There is no good evidence for that tale. The reality is more believable and perhaps more relatable. Born in Huntington, New York in 1969, Carey began writing songs while young and pursued music intensely after finishing high school. To support herself, she took various jobs, including working as a waitress. By her own accounts, she was not particularly successful at restaurant work and was fired from several positions. Her real focus remained music. Carey worked as a backup singer for Brenda K. Starr, and that connection produced the legendary Encounter that changed everything. At a music industry party, Starr gave Carey's demo tape to Columbia Records executive Tommy Mottola. After listening to it, Mottola reportedly attempted to find Carey again, setting in motion her recording career. Her self-titled debut arrived in 1990 and produced 4 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. Carey rapidly evolved from struggling aspiring singer into one of the defining voices of her generation. Her 5-octave reputation, songwriting whistle register, and ability to bridge pop, R&B, and hip-hop helped shape modern popular music. She eventually accumulated 19 Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles, more than any other solo artist. That achievement makes her early working life almost surreal. The woman who would spend decades at the top of the charts once struggled simply to keep a restaurant job. Mariah Carey did not need a fictional siren factory to make her origin story fascinating. The truth is stronger while serving customers to pay expenses. She was quietly preparing songs that would soon make the entire world listen. Steve Harvey. Before Steve Harvey became a television host, comedian, author, and the unmistakable face of Family Feud, his path was anything but secure. Harvey cycled through numerous jobs before entertainment provided stability. He worked as an insurance salesman, carpet cleaner, mail carrier, and auto worker, among other occupations. None suggested that one day millions of people would recognize his voice before he even entered a room. Born in West Virginia in 1957 and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, Harvey spent years trying to determine where he belonged professionally. Comedy eventually offered an answer. He performed stand-up for the first time in the mid-1980s and quickly discovered that making strangers laugh gave him something his previous jobs had not. But pursuing that dream came at a brutal price. During part of his early comedy career, Harvey experienced homelessness, living out of his Ford Tempo when he could not afford regular accommodation. He has spoken publicly about using hotel bathrooms and swimming pool facilities to wash while traveling between performances. Slowly, persistence produced results. Harvey became a finalist in the 2nd annual Johnny Walker National Comedy Search in 1990, helping him secure television opportunities. Hosting Showtime at the Apollo raised his profile, and The Steve Harvey Show became a successful sitcom from 1996 to 2002. Then his career expanded far beyond stand-up. The original Kings of Comedy reinforced his status as a major comedian, while radio books, talk shows, and hosting transformed Harvey into a multimedia personality. In 2010, he began hosting Family Feud, where his reactions and spontaneous exchanges with contestants became central to the show's modern identity. The distance between cleaning carpets and commanding television studios is enormous. Steve Harvey's early resume was not glamorous, but every ordinary job belonged to the long road toward an extraordinary career, and even sleeping in a car did not become the final chapter. Halle Berry. Long before Halle Berry became an Academy Award winner and one of Hollywood's most recognizable leading women, she experienced a period when success seemed anything but guaranteed. After growing up in Ohio, Berry entered beauty pageants and achieved significant success, including becoming Miss Ohio USA in 1986 and finishing as first runner-up at Miss USA, but pageant recognition did not automatically translate into financial security or an acting career. Berry moved to New York to pursue modeling and acting, and she later recalled experiencing serious financial hardship during those early years. At one point, after her savings ran low and family assistance was no longer available, she stayed in a homeless shelter. Rather than the unsupported story that she spent her pre-fame years working in a children's clothing store, this documented struggle reveals something far more meaningful about the uncertainty behind her rise. Her acting career gradually developed through television, including Living Dolls and Knots Landing. Film opportunities followed, with Spike Lee casting her as Vivian in Jungle Fever in 1991. Roles in Boomerang, The Flintstones, and Introducing Dorothy Dandridge demonstrated an increasingly impressive range. Her portrayal of Dandridge earned Berry major television awards and strengthened her reputation as a dramatic actress. Then came Monsters Ball. At the 2002 Academy Awards, Berry won Best Actress, becoming the first black woman to win that category, a historic achievement that remains significant decades later. She subsequently entered blockbuster territory as Storm in the X-Men franchise and starred in films ranging from Die Another Day to John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. The journey makes the red carpets look different in retrospect. Before the Oscar superhero franchises and international fame, Halle Berry knew what it meant to face genuine uncertainty about where she would sleep. Hollywood eventually saw a star, but first Berry had to believe in a future she could not yet see. Maya Angelou. Before Maya Angelou became an internationally celebrated poet, author, and civil rights figure, she broke a barrier on the streets of San Francisco. As a teenager in the 1940s, Angelou wanted to work aboard the city's streetcars. There was one enormous obstacle: black women simply were not being hired for those positions. Born Marguerite Annie Johnson in 1928, Angelou refused to accept that exclusion quietly. After repeatedly pursuing the opportunity, she secured employment with the Market Street Railway Company, becoming the first black female streetcar conductor in San Francisco. She was only a teenager. Decades later, she recalled wearing her uniform proudly while navigating the city. That remarkable job was only one chapter in an unusually varied life. Angelou later worked as a dancer, singer, actress, journalist, writer, and activist. She traveled internationally and worked alongside major figures of the civil rights era, including Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Her literary breakthrough transformed everything. Published in 1969, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings drew upon her childhood experiences and became one of the most influential autobiographical works in modern American literature. Angelou eventually published poetry essays, autobiographical volumes, and other works while teaching and speaking to audiences around the world. In 1993, she delivered On the Pulse of Morning at President Bill Clinton's inauguration, becoming the first poet to read at a U.S. presidential inauguration since Robert Frost in 1961. President Barack Obama later awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2011. Angelou died in 2014 at age 86. Her beginning matters because it reveals the determination already present decades before literary fame. Before millions knew Maya Angelou's words, a teenage black girl repeatedly demanded access to a job society had effectively told her was not meant for someone like her. She got the job and spent the rest of her life opening doors through her voice. Kanye West, y'all. Before Kanye West became one of the most influential and controversial musicians of his generation, he had a surprisingly ordinary teenage job working at a Gap store. The experience later became part of his music, offering an interesting glimpse of a young artist who was still years away from transforming hip-hop. Born Kanye West in Atlanta in 1977 and raised largely in Chicago, he developed an early fascination with music and began creating beats while young. But before record deals and sold-out arenas, he worked retail at Gap as a teenager. Years later, on Spaceship from the College Dropout, he referenced his experience working there and his frustration with low-paid employment. Music gradually became his real profession. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, West built his reputation primarily as a producer, creating tracks for artists including Jay-Z. His work on The Blueprint in 2001 helped establish him among hip-hop's most sought-after producers. Yet West wanted something the industry was initially reluctant to offer him: recognition as a rapper. His breakthrough album, The College Dropout, arrived in 2004. Albums including Late Registration, Graduation, 808s, and Heartbreak and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy followed, repeatedly altering expectations around mainstream hip-hop production. His later career has also been dominated by controversy. In particular, anti-Semitic statements and other inflammatory public remarks have resulted in widespread condemnation and the termination of major business partnerships. Those facts are important when discussing his story and should not be erased by his commercial accomplishments. Still, his pre-fame employment provides a striking contrast. The teenager folding clothes at Gap eventually entered fashion himself, including a major Gap collaboration decades later. Before that partnership ended, the story does not require invented grocery store anecdotes. The documented reality is remarkable enough. Before Ye became a global celebrity, he was another Chicago teenager working retail while imagining something much bigger. Viola Davis. Before Viola Davis became an EGOT-winning performer, her relationship with work was shaped by something far more fundamental than ambition-poverty. Growing up in Central Falls, Rhode Island, Davis has spoken openly about experiencing severe economic hardship, hunger, and difficult living conditions. Her journey toward Hollywood therefore began without the safety net people often imagine behind celebrity success. Born in South Carolina in 1965, Davis discovered acting while young and later studied theater at Rhode Island College. She continued her training at the Juilliard School in New York, graduating in 1993. During the years before widespread recognition, she built her career through theater and smaller screen appearances rather than experiencing an instant Hollywood breakthrough. The stage became crucial. Davis won her first Tony Award for King Hadley the Sioux in 2001, demonstrating the emotional intensity that would later define her film work. Wider audiences took notice after her brief but devastating appearance opposite Meryl Streep in Doubt in 2008. Despite limited screen time, Davis earned an Academy Award nomination. Her career then accelerated through The Help and television's How to Get Away with Murder. Playing attorney Annalise Keating earned Davis the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a drama series in 2015, making her the first Black woman to win that category. In 2017, Fences brought her an Academy Award. She later completed competitive EGOT status when the audiobook of her memoir Finding Me won a Grammy in 2023. Unlike some names on this list, Davis does not have one sensational, strange job that should be invented merely to fit a headline. Her authentic, pre-fame story is about working through poverty, education, theater, and years of professional persistence. That truth is more powerful than fake trivia. Viola Davis traveled from profound childhood hardship to membership in one of entertainment's most exclusive groups, and she accomplished it by turning lived experience into extraordinary art. Beyoncé Knowles Carter. Before Beyoncé Knowles Carter commanded stadiums, she spent part of her childhood in a much smaller room filled with hairdryers, conversations, and customers. Her mother, Tina Knowles, operated a hair salon in Houston, and Beyoncé has recalled helping around the business, including sweeping hair from the floor. It was hardly glamorous, but that salon became an unexpectedly important part of her creative education. Born in Houston in 1981, Beyoncé demonstrated unusual performance ability early. While spending time at her mother's salon, she was surrounded by women talking openly about their experiences. Years later, Beyoncé reflected on how listening to those conversations exposed her to different perspectives and stories. The young girl cleaning the floor was quietly absorbing a world of personalities. At the same time, her musical ambitions were developing rapidly. She competed in talent shows and eventually became part of Girls' Tyme, the group that evolved into Destiny's Child. After years of rehearsals, setbacks, and lineup changes, Destiny's Child became one of the defining R&B groups of its era, with hits including Say My Name, Survivor, and Independent Women Part 1. Beyoncé's solo breakthrough, Dangerously in Love, arrived in 2003 and produced major hits such as Crazy in Love. What followed was a career-spanning music, film, touring, visual albums, and business ventures. She became the most awarded artist in Grammy history, surpassing the previous record in 2023. The salon connection eventually came full circle. Hair beauty, Black identity, and the traditions surrounding hair care have continued to appear within Beyoncé's wider creative and entrepreneurial world. that makes those childhood afternoons particularly meaningful. Before enormous tours and record-breaking Grammy totals, Beyoncé was sweeping her mother's salon floor and listening. Nobody in that room could have known just how far the girl holding the broom would eventually go. Tiffany Haddish. Before Tiffany Haddish became a breakout Hollywood comedian, she spent years taking whatever work could keep her moving forward. One of her more unexpected jobs was with Alaska Airlines, where she worked in customer service. Haddish has jokingly described herself as trying to bring humor to passengers, even then a small preview of the personality that would eventually become her livelihood. Born in Los Angeles in 1979, Haddish experienced an extremely difficult childhood and spent time in foster care. Comedy became an important outlet. As a teenager, she attended the Laugh Factory comedy camp, an experience that encouraged her ability to turn painful circumstances into material capable of connecting with an audience. Success, however, was nowhere near immediate. Haddish spent years performing stand-up while taking regular jobs and pursuing small television opportunities. She has also spoken publicly about periods of housing instability, including living in her car while trying to establish herself as a comedian. Slowly, appearances on television programs began accumulating. Her breakthrough came through The Carmichael Show, but 2017 changed everything. Haddish played Dina in Girls Trip, starring alongside Regina Hall, Queen Latifah, and Jada Pinkett Smith. Her outrageous, energetic performance became one of the movie's biggest talking points and transformed her into a mainstream star. Later that year, Haddish became the first black female stand-up comedian to host Saturday Night Live, and her appearance earned a Primetime Emmy. Her comedy album, Black Mitzvah, subsequently won the Grammy for Best Comedy Album. The contrast with those pre-fame years is striking. The woman, once helping airline passengers and struggling to establish herself, suddenly had Hollywood listening whenever she spoke. Tiffany Haddish's journey was never a smooth flight toward celebrity. It involved ordinary employment rejection, instability, and years of comedy clubs, but eventually the employee behind the customer service counter became the person audiences were lining up to see. Colin Powell. Before Colin Powell became a four-star general and the first black U.S. Secretary of State, one of his formative jobs was inside a small baby furniture and toy store in the Bronx. It sounds ordinary beside the corridors of global power he later entered, but Powell himself remembered the experience as an important chapter of his youth. Born in Harlem in 1937 to Jamaican immigrant parents and raised in the South Bronx, Powell worked at Sixers, a Jewish-owned store, while growing up. He learned some Yiddish while working there and later spoke warmly about his relationship with the family who employed him. That documented experience is more reliable than embellished versions involving dramatic confrontations with racist customers. Powell attended the City College of New York, where participation in ROTC transformed his direction. After graduating in 1958, he entered the U.S. Army as a second lieutenant. What followed was a military career spanning more than 3 decades, including 2 tours in Vietnam and increasingly senior leadership positions. In 1989, Powell became chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the first African American to hold America's highest-ranking military position. He served under Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton and became nationally prominent during the 1991 Gulf War. Another historic milestone came in 2001 when President George W. Bush appointed him Secretary of State, again making Powell the first African American to occupy that office. His tenure also included the deeply consequential 2003 presentation to the United Nations concerning Iraq's alleged weapons of mass destruction. Powell later described that episode as a blot on his record. Powell died in 2021 at age 84. Long before military command and diplomatic power, however, he was a Bronx teenager working behind a store counter. It was an ordinary beginning for a life that would eventually reach some of the highest levels of American government. Gabure Sidibe. before Precious transformed Gaburi Sidibe into an Academy Award nominee. She was not building a conventional Hollywood resume. She was working as a receptionist while pursuing education and trying to determine what direction her life should take. Acting was not yet an obvious destination, which makes what happened next particularly extraordinary. Born in Brooklyn in 1983 and raised in New York, Sidibe attended several colleges before eventually studying psychology. She worked at the front desk of an office while living a life far removed from red carpets and movie premieres. Contrary to some exaggerated celebrity stories, there is no reliable basis for presenting her as a circus ticket seller earning $1 per day. Then, an opportunity arrived that changed everything. Sidibe auditioned for director Lee Daniels' Precious based on the novel Push by Sapphire. She had limited professional acting experience, but her audition revealed precisely the emotional strength the role required. Released in 2009, Precious placed Sidibe at the center of an intensely difficult story about abuse, poverty, education, and survival. Her performance immediately attracted international attention. For her very first major film role, Sidibe received nominations for the Academy Award and Golden Globe for Best Actress. Instead of becoming defined by a single performance, she continued working. Sidibe appeared in Tower Heist and television productions including American Horror Story and Empire, where her sharp comedic instincts showed audiences another side of her abilities. She later moved behind the camera as a director as well. Her rise is remarkable precisely because there was no carefully engineered path toward movie stardom. One moment she was working behind a reception desk. Then she auditioned for a role with enormous emotional demands, and suddenly Hollywood knew her name. Gaburi Sidibe's story reminds us that the job someone holds today may reveal almost nothing about where their talent will take them tomorrow. Danny Glover. Born in San Francisco in 1946, Glover attended San Francisco State College and became involved with activism during a period of intense political and social change. Instead of moving immediately into acting, he worked for the city, including employment connected with community development programs. That experience placed him close to questions of housing inequality and neighborhood life issues that would remain important to his activism decades later. Acting gradually became impossible to ignore. Glover trained with the Black Actors Workshop at the American Conservatory Theater, and eventually left his municipal career to pursue performance professionally. It was a risky decision. He was abandoning stable employment for an industry offering no guarantee of success. The gamble eventually paid off. Film appearances accumulated during the late 1970s and early 1980s, but 1985 proved especially important. Glover appeared in Witness and delivered a powerful performance as Mr. in Steven Spielberg's The Color Purple. 2 years later came the role that transformed his international profile. Opposite Mel Gibson, Glover played LAPD detective Roger Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon. The 1987 film became a major success and produced 3 sequels, turning Glover into one of the most familiar action stars of his generation. Yet his career extended far beyond that franchise. To Sleep with Anger, Beloved, and numerous other projects demonstrated his dramatic range while activism remained central to his public life. That continuity makes his beginning especially meaningful. Before portraying police officers and commanding movie screens, Danny Glover worked directly with communities in his hometown. Hollywood changed his profession, but it never completely separated him from the concerns that shaped the man before fame. Summer Walker. Before Summer Walker became one of contemporary R&B's most successful voices, she spent her days doing something far removed from recording studios, cleaning houses. Unlike sensationalized stories claiming she was humiliated by customers for tiny hourly wages, the documented version is more straightforward. Walker has spoken about operating a cleaning business before music transformed her circumstances. Born in Atlanta in 1996, Walker developed her musical abilities largely outside the traditional industry pipeline. She taught herself guitar by watching online tutorials and began posting covers to the internet. At the same time, ordinary work helped pay the bills. Cleaning provided income while she quietly developed the sound that would eventually attract millions of listeners. Her online performances helped generate attention, and she eventually signed with Love Renaissance, LVRN, and Interscope Records. The 2018 project Last Day of Summer introduced her intimate, emotionally vulnerable approach to a wider audience. One song in particular, Girls Need Love, became a breakthrough, receiving an even larger boost when Drake joined its 2019 remix. Later that year, Walker released Over It. The album became a major commercial success and established her as an important new figure in R&B. Her second studio album, Still Over It, arrived in 2021 and debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, confirming that her first success had not been temporary. What makes Walker's pre-fame story compelling is its simplicity. There does not need to be a fictional customer dumping garbage over her head or delivering a perfectly scripted insult. Reality already provides the contrast. Before listeners around the world streamed her songs hundreds of millions of times, Summer Walker cleaned other people's homes and taught herself guitar through the internet. The cleaning business paid for the present. Music quietly prepared her future. Before the awards, sold out, arenas, blockbuster movies, and billion-dollar empires, these black legends were simply trying to make a living. From Whoopi Goldberg working as a mortuary cosmetologist and Wanda Sykes building a career in engineering to Beyoncé sweeping hair in her mother's salon and Steve Harvey surviving years of ordinary jobs before comedy changed everything. Their beginnings were far removed from fame. Their journeys remind us that the person serving your table, cleaning an office, or working behind a counter today could become tomorrow's icon. But which story surprised you the most, and which celebrity had the most unbelievable journey from an ordinary job to extraordinary success? Share your opinion in the comments, subscribe to Golden Black Legends, and tell us who deserves a place in our next story.